again for checking us out. I wanted to talk about how to beat burnout and to live life balanced. How to beat burnout and to live life balanced. I had a counseling session with a client, and any of these words, have you ever thought of this before? Have you heard of these words or ever thought these words before? Feeling depleted, having 1,000 miles but on E and you still have to go those extra 1,000 miles. Being on autopilot, having to juggle everything on my own. If I let one thing fall that's so has so much value and worth to it that I'm so accountable to, I'm very responsible for this thing. If I were to let it crumble or to fall, what a scary place that would be. And I would feel extremely guilty, depressed, sad, at a loss. I don't know if any of those words resonate for you, but in talking to the client, I saw how she was at a place, we talked it out, and we realized that where that came from was, one thing was because of how her upbringing was. She was at a place where there was such a lack growing up for her that she made it in her mind that she wasn't going to live that life anymore. That if and when she had her own power to create her own family, that she was going to do everything and anything possible to make sure that she would never be in a position that she was when she was a kid. And therefore, she became that high achiever. She became that person who had to wear multiple hats as a mother, as a wife, as a business owner. All these things that she was doing, she's accountable to staff and doing so many things that she lost her way to the point that she didn't even know how to even attend to herself. She's crying out for help on the inside, and no one can hear her. So now she thought that she was at such a breaking point that she's willing to let go of everything just to come to know who she is. Who is the true and living person that's on the inside, screaming to come out, but not sure how to help that person inside to actualize. So it's about balance. And it's easier said than done, because as high achievers and as a high achiever myself, juggling so much, didn't know which way to go with that, what to do and how to get to a place of balance, to get time back. One of the major things is that time is lost. Time is lost with having time for yourself, having time with loved ones and really getting to connect, and also time to enjoy the activities that really put a smile on your face and you had your own time to decompress. What I wanted to do was show an illustration. This is what I love about life coaching is, it taps into that side of me to be creative and innovative. So this is you. Hope you can see it. Lovely drawing, isn't it? I want you to take note, not so much at the head where the wide mouth is open, but rather as I drew this illustration of you, high achievers, who are burnt out, who are having such a life imbalance crisis. If you notice the disconnections, I didn't connect the head to the body. I didn't connect the body to the legs or even the arms. It is amazing that a picture is worth such 1,000 words. And why? Because there is such a disconnection where we're looking to try to connect with so many people and connect with at our jobs, in our businesses, with friends. How can we if we're not really connected ourselves in its totality? We're comprised of mind, body, and spirit. And I always say to anyone, to my clients and whoever care to listen, that if it's amazing, it's a great thing that you can work on your mind. But if you're not a whole self in terms of your body or your spirit, if you don't attend to those other elements, then you're not a whole self. If you can attend to your body all day long and work out and eat right and be healthy, but if you're not attending to your mind and to your spirit, you're still not a whole self. And likewise, if you do not attend to your spirit, you can attend to your spirit rather, but if you don't attend to your body or your mind, you're still not a whole self. And as high achievers, it's amazing how we have lived life on autopilot to the point that we've been broken, fragmented, but still having to put on that face. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about. There's 3 parts of this body. You have from here where it's disconnected, but notice the head. This is what everybody sees. Let's call that the pretty self. So this is the part that you display. You are a high achiever. You're very ambitious and very driven, but you're very successful. You're doing very well in all that you do. All your responsibilities, you make sure that you are on point with. So that is the persona that, or the facade, so to speak, that you present to everyone, that you got it together. So let's say that that is what you do best, is that you are able to put out fires. You're able to really handle whatever situation that comes up. That is your pretty self. Here is where the disconnect here is, that this is the desperate self. That area just means that we will do what is necessary. If, in fact, if one person, you may have 1 million people who pat you on the back and praise you all day long and say that you've done such a marvelous job in what you do. But if that one person out of the bunch say, you know, I noticed that you forgot to cross the T and dot the I on this document. Oh my gosh. It's like you get to a point that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that that person saw that. I have to do something to deflect that person from seeing what I really think of myself, which we'll talk about in a second. But you will attempt to deflect. You'll kick it up the more to be more ambitious, more driven, making sure that you will never get caught in dotting or not dotting the I and not crossing the T. Because the last part that you are trying to cover up is called the dreaded self. The dreaded self just means that that is the area that no one, not even you, go to. That's the part where we actually think opposite of what we present. So where one would present in the pretty self level, or the surface level that I would call it, that you're a high achiever, you're ambitious, you're hard driven, and that pretty much is you. However, you don't want anyone to know that how you really think about yourself is that you feel like you're worthless, you feel like you don't have a self, you have no identity, that you're empty, that you're defected, that you're nothing. Oftentimes we don't think about it that far. It's just that we know, or sometimes we don't even pay attention to our own boundaries. When we start to feel like there's a boundary that's violated, when someone is actually challenging us on what we are presenting ourselves to be, it becomes such anxiety provoking. It can become so dreaded that we will do whatever necessary to hide that area, that lack. But as a result, in trying to cover up and not getting to that core issue, we end up burning out. We end up having such a life imbalance to the point that while we were trying to juggle everything, something ends up inevitably falling. And then it's such a dreaded thing that we get so upset, we're so ashamed, we're so disappointed in ourselves, and it keeps the cycle going. It's all a mindset. But this is what I want to help you on knowing and understanding, is that there's something called reframe, and that just means that you have to change the way that you're thinking. So rather, the presented self, the pretty self that you presented the whole time, is really you. It's just the fact that you had to do, or you had certain things that have happened that resulted in you feeling that you had to be a certain way as opposed to just being, period. So in other words, you may very well have it together. You may very well handle situations lovely, awesomely. However, because of circumstances, situations, upbringings, things like that are really dictating and driving you to be a certain way, to cover up and to make sure that no one, even yourself, ever touched that dreaded core thinking, it becomes very exhausting. Again, the burnout happens. So what we have to do is reframe. Rather thinking that you are at a place where you feel worthless or unacceptable or nothing or don't have an identity, you have to look at the fact of where you are and what you have accomplished. Even if you feel that what you have accomplished isn't as much as what you're really trying to gain, whether peace of mind, whether stability, whether, again, going back to the things that you have once enjoyed, connecting with family and friends and loved ones who matters most to you, and most importantly, making sure that you add yourself into the equation. Oftentimes, as high achievers, we lose sight. We don't think about ourselves enough and put that time of self-care, we'll run on E and deplete ourselves to no end, and then be upset with others who don't pour back into us. And we say, well, wow, you're supposed to be my husband, my daughter, my son, my best friend, and how is it that I'm always giving myself to you on top of everything else that I have to do, and you're not even making the time to pour back into me? Well, the thing is, why should they? They're used to you taking care of everything, and you may have missed the point that they may have been trying to their ability and the way that they would do it to pour back into you, but it wasn't the way that you would normally do. So reframing how you're looking at the situation, reframing how you're perceiving the matter is really one great step towards balance, towards beating burnout. You have to acknowledge and address that while you're trying to be at a place where you're trying to balance everything and juggle so much as a mother, as a husband, as a business owner, as a friend, as a leader in your community, you have to make sure that you make the time to look at how you're thinking at the situation, to not allow the things that have happened in your past to dictate your current situation, and to also look at what you have accomplished, so that you will give opportunity, and to know that you're human, to give opportunity to embrace you and your totality, good, bad, and indifferent. Again, we become fragmented and broken because we won't accept those parts about us that seems to be so hideous, that seems to be so unacceptable, whether because of society says that it's unacceptable, whether because of past relationships said that it was unacceptable. It's a matter of what do you say is acceptable. When you reframe your mindset and to look at it that way, then that will help you in the process of getting better, to get to a place of being connected, mind, body, and spirit. So with that said, high achievers, I welcome you, I challenge you to really start looking at the way that you're thinking, and to really start to pinpoint what are those things that drive you to do what you do, to think the way that you think, to operate the way that you operate. You'll be able to operate the same way, but now it will be at a place where you call the shots as opposed to circumstances and situations calling the shots and burning you out. So I welcome you and I challenge you today to look at that, to look at your pretty self, your desperate self, and your core self, and to reframe the whole situation. Start thinking differently to get a different result. I'm here to help you to reorder yourself, to realign to your purpose, and to reposition yourself so that you can have great success, and to get back the time to enjoy yourself, others, and activities that you have loved so much. Thank you so much for this, and I look forward to talking with you again soon.